Shams saying the Celtics are preparing for some level of change this coming offseason. He references 5 players making over $28 million next year. Those 5 players are Derek White, who checks in at $28.1 million next year. His salary is going up $8 million. Ooh. Kristaps Porzingis is scheduled to make $30.7 million next year. Drew Holiday will be at $32.4 million next year. All 3 of those players, their salaries going up from where they are right now. Same is true for Jason Tatum, who this season is making $34.8 million. Next year, that number goes to $54.1 million, which will put him just ahead of his teammate Jaylen Brown at $53.1 million. You heard the salary tax bill will be $500 million for the team next year if they try and keep it together. So new owner or not, there was a decent chance they were going to break this up after a 2-year window, which is not earth-shattering new information. We talked about this 2 years ago, or what's it been? Yeah, a year ago. No, 2 years ago. Offseason 2 years ago when they started making moves and made the Marcus Smart trade and brought in Porzingis and the extensions and Drew Holiday's extension. This is not brand new information. But we kind of put it off in our minds. Like, that's down the road. Deal with it then. You got 2-year window. Maximize the window. Well, guess what? That 2-year window closes in a few weeks. They've arrived. This is where it gets to that point. So I think there are 2 options here.
There are 2 options. Oh,
I think there are
2 options?
I think there are 2 options.
Okay, good. What are the 2 options?
I got 1.5.
I don't think either one's a good option.
Okay.
Let me just state that.
All right.
I don't think either one is a good option. They're both very difficult options that will upset any fan of this team. And that is they move on from those like tier 1A guys, which is Porzingis,
Drew
Holiday, or Derek White, and they're kind of
I'd keep him
chipping off there. And then you could say, and they've got some other money they can move, like Sam Hauser's going to be making $10 million next year. Or they can say, let's just rip off the Band-Aid and we could keep, just based on numbers, we can keep more of the team together if we move on from Jaylen Brown, which, by the way, would get the biggest return.
Of course it would.
He would get you a haul if you move Jaylen Brown. So the best return and the most valuable chip you have, if you're willing to break up the Jays, would be Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, it's the best return, but then what's your team?
Your team is very different without him.
See,
but you still, based on numbers, based on the guys on the roster, you keep more of the roster together by trading away a salary
I get it.
of $53 million.
See,
you might be trading away 1 player instead of 2.
Can I whine for just a little bit? Can I whine for like 30 seconds before I get to your point? NBA owners, a lot of these NBA owners are babies. That's why we're in this position. We're in this position because some of the rich owners said, I don't care. I'll spend whatever it takes to have a championship team. I may not get there, but I'll spend the money. So if you got deep pockets, okay, bring it on. Fine. And some of the owners who don't have the pockets, who don't have the resources, or do have the resources but don't have the desire to spend their money, complained about it. And that's why we have this collective bargaining agreement. So it's not about just your willingness to spend money. Now it's, hey, if you spend money, we're going to tax you. It's going to be an unbelievable tax, and we're going to take away draft picks and a mid-level exception from you too. There's stuff you won't be able to do for your team building purposes just so we can level the field. So unfortunately, we're in this position. Shams is right. It's inevitable for every team.
So if you
every
do that,
team, every big spending team is going. It has it's either 2 to 4 years, a 2 to 4 year window of competitiveness before it's just too expensive and you got to move on.
Brad Stevens has done a fantastic job. Your explanation right there takes him out of the mix because now his hands are tied.
He has to do it. He has to, unless Beetle, you say, all right, well, I don't care if my team doesn't have a first round pick. I don't care if my team can't use a mid-level exception to acquire talent. I'll just keep getting taxed and keep getting taxed so I can keep the team together. That's not going to happen. So I think it really is the last run. I think it'll be Porzingis. I think it'll be Holiday. I don't think they'll move on from Brown. It'd be Porzingis, it'd be Holiday, it'd be Sam Hauser. I know Hauser is not big money, but they've already got his replacement.
They
here.
need Derek White,
and his
too.
replacement is cheaper. Shireman was drafted as Shireman is Sam Hauser, just cheaper. So it changes the dynamic this year, but it also changes how we look at greatness. So now true greatness is if you can be a back-to-back champion in the NBA, that's the modern equivalent of a three-peat. Because when Shaq and Kobe did it as a three-peat, these structures weren't in place. When Jordan did it twice, these structures weren't in place. Even when Steph, they didn't have a three-peat, but when they went back-to-back with Steph and Durant, these structures weren't in place. So we kind of have to grade on a curve when we're talking about all-time great teams. If the Celtics are able to pull off a back-to-back championship first time in Celtics history since 1969, if they can pull it off, we got to look at them and say, yeah, it's pretty impressive, although we wouldn't have done that 10 years ago. You won 2? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. But now with this kind of financial pressure, with the way the league is set up, winning back-to-back is hard. It's harder than it's ever been.
So there's the repeater penalty, and I don't want to get bogged down in all the minutia of this, but I would just tell you that without trading Jaylen Brown, they're not going to get down to a level where they can reset. Like, they're never going to be able to get under it and reset. But what I would do is just philosophically, which is, do you want to chip away at all the other guys on the roster, Porzingis, Holiday, Hauser, etc., or do you want to trade a big chip? I always, 100% of the time, will tell you, keep Jaylen Brown and keep Jason Tatum together. You'd be crazy not to just start shedding salary in other places, which may require a bunch of deals to get it done.
Now, and if they are able to, doing it that way, because I agree with you, but doing it that way, imagine if you win another one. Now you're legendary. Because it's not like, oh, look at all the support that they had. Now the focus really is on Jaylen and Jason. And if you can win a championship with a completely different cast, it's like, it didn't matter. You can even start changing the narrative a little bit. Start building your own ego. Hey, they changed the rules because of us. Because we were so dominant. They changed the rules, and we still were able to win, even though they didn't want, they didn't want us to win, and we did it anyway.
Put it on Brad. Like, remember when people were pissed when he got rid of Marcus Smart? But, look how it turned out. No one knew who Derek White was. Like, we knew who he was.
Well,
but, like, the role he's played, and look how good Pritchard has gotten.
You say put it on Brad. You say put it on Brad. You know who you're going to put it on. Bill Chisholm. Hey, congrats, Bill. Hey, Bill, you just got a new team. All right. Now we got to break it up. And who's going to be holding the bag? Who's responsible? They win a championship, and you imagine a couple weeks later, the Boston Celtics have moved on from Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Who do you blame? The new guy.
I'm going to blame the guy who's still in charge, Wick. You want to be in charge?
Still got a gig, right?
Here you go.
No,
this
Wick,
is your call then.
No, Wick's too smart for that. Wick's going to be like, we talked about it.
All of a sudden it's going to be a collaboration.
We talked about it.
Wants to stay in charge, wants the courtside seats, and wants the wants
we get
the
paid
fame.
in parades.
Wants to hoist the trophy at the end, but wants no responsibility when they start slashing guys off the roster. We blame Wick. Make it. Put it up there, Fowler. We blame Wick.
I'm just here in a supporting role.
How dare you take down the Chisholms like that?
The Chisholms, our Joe. That's what she said. Our Joe.
Our Joe.
Our Joe.
The valuation on the Celtics and the deal will soon be completed and be fully compliant with NBA rules as it relates to these things. So it is happening.
Probably used her podcast money.
You think that's what it was?
No.
The podcast revenue?
I don't think so.
Very lucrative podcast. No, he got it. There really wasn't a question, I don't think. Steve Pagliuca kind of muddied the waters a bit and gave people some hope.
It made you pause.
Yeah, I think he gave people hope, but also was like, it made people worry a little bit too. What does he know?
Yeah.
What is he saying here that if this deal doesn't go through, he'll be there waiting in the wings?
Well, it took him a couple of months to get it done, right?
I think it was his disappointment. I think it was his disappointment speaking more than anything. Like, this guy, there's no way that they're going to announce him and then find out, oh, well, actually, I got some empty pockets here. I got lint in my pockets. I don't have enough. It's the same thing, Beetle, that happened with Pags and Wick. When they bought the team from Paul Gaston, they agreed on the price. They were announced as the new owners. And then after that, there was like a race to find different partners to complete the sale. And that's what happened here, just at a much higher rate.
Yeah, I think it's a little different when the sale price is $6.1 billion.
As opposed to right around $300 million.
Yeah.
$300 million versus $6.1 billion. But these are moneyed people.
I know, but
And
when we saw that report earlier in the week that he had approached a deep-pocketed NFL owner about buying in, and that was going on as of, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, who knows, recent days, that if that was necessary and still hadn't been nailed down, well, maybe there was a chance that at the very least it was going to be delayed. It was going to take a little more time to get there. I think that's the one thing he had on his side, that Wick would wait as long as necessary for him to find it. And may even help facilitate him finding it.
Right. And it's not
right?
just Wick, Zoe. It's also Adam Silver. Like, they're not going to announce Bill Chisholm. They're not going to make a big deal about this and have all this media attention if the NBA is not comfortable with the guys that you're presenting as the guy or the guys that you're presenting as the next owners of the Celtics. I think the NBA was fine with the plan.
Yeah,
hey,
this
is how you're going to do it. Okay, we're good with that.
So I want them to win just to see the photo opportunity of who holds the trophy. How many hands are going to be on it?
Oh, Pags.
You know Wick's going to have it.
No, Pags got a plan already. Pags is going in. It's like, I'm going in here. I know. I'm not going to.
Billy's going to have it.
When Wick has them, I'm going to let him have the mic. I'm taking the damn trophy. He hogged it in 2008. He hogged it last year. Not this time. I'm going out with my fingerprints on that thing.
You know, he does have something to be happy about, Pags, which is his piece of the team is now worth a lot more than it previously had been worth.
Sure.
So even if he didn't end up with what he really wanted, which was being the controlling owner, his piece is now worth quite a bit.
Everything goes up. What do you make of Pags and Wick sitting together at these playoff games? Is this
fraudulent?
Is this just
fraudulent?
PR?
Totally PR. It's fraudulent.
So why are we doing
now?
This?
All of a sudden,
Kraft and Belichick.
You ain't doing it 20 years. Why are you doing it?
They really didn't. They were not frequently sitting together at games. Opposite ends of the floor.
One was under a bucket. The other guy's under.
And you know who knows this better than anybody? Michael Hawley, who over the years has had more courtside experiences.
Oh, come on.
Than really, I think outside of season ticket holders that are down there, no one's been there more than you.
It's been fun.
Who's the business guy?
It's been a hell of a ride. It's been a hell of a ride.
Who's the business guy that always stands up?
Sully. Love him.
He's on a first-name basis.
Shout out Sully.
Yeah. Hawley's on a first-name basis with everybody around there.
I got spoiled, though. Here's it. When I covered the Celtics, this is before the NBA learned how to really make the big money. When I covered the Celtics, half court. The beat writers sat at mid-court. So I could sit, if I'm writing the main story for the Boston Globe, I sit at mid-court. I hear the officials' conversations, all this stuff. I could lean into the huddle, the Celtics huddle, hear the plays being called. And if I'm not writing the main story, how about this, Zoe? The baseline seats were also for writers. So think about all the money they gave away. We're like, wait a minute. Why are we letting these freeloading journalists
free meal
sit here?
Because we used to be a proper country.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. Get them out of here.
Grandy still bitches. He's up in the corner.
Yeah, let's get them up like 15, 16 rows from the floor, and let's make some money off these seats. So, yeah, I got spoiled. I got spoiled covering the Celtics, and now I love the courtside experience.
So then you quit journalism and put all the ethics to the side and said, just give me the free tickets, baby. I want the good seats.
Seated at the right hand of the Wahlbergs.
Tawny comes in.
Why not?
So
High five and El Prez.
yes, without a doubt. So here's the one thing I do question about it now. Just curious. Not that I think it matters in terms of how the team will operate. Who bought in? Who do we have? Who's on the roster of owners now for the Celtics? Just because it could be an interesting name. Zoe brought up the other day, maybe the deep-pocketed NFL owner that they had approached was not Robert Kraft, but Jeffrey Lurie.
Ooh. Because Jeffrey, that's a good one, Zoe. Because Lurie at the Super Bowl, it wasn't quite a strong denial. It was, I'm focused on what we're doing right here with the Philadelphia Eagles, which is what he's supposed to say.
Right.
You can't, in the Super Bowl, you can't say, oh, yeah, I'm really excited about the Celtics, and now let's talk about the NBA. It's so exciting. No. So he kind of redirected the conversation. That's not a bad call. And we know he wanted the Patriots very badly. He's a local guy. Talk about deep pockets and talk about return on investment for all those guys who bought into the NFL in the 90s and where they are now. So he's got some disposable income.
Let's get to your Celtics calls. Coming up next, 617-779-0985. Also, Isaiah Thomas, Celtics Isaiah Thomas, is upset for being left out of the 8-part docuseries.
9?
I thought it was 8.
9 parts.
It's 9 episodes?
Yes.
That was
9.
9 episodes. I promise someday I'm going to turn it on. Someday I'm going to get that.
What? You didn't watch any of it?
Because you know why?
Why?
Because it's that many episodes. It's daunting.
It's too much.
It's like a book that's 700 pages.
Cut it down to like nice 350.
I put it off because I just know once you start, well, that's a really long thing you got to get
That's a
through.
commitment.
Coaching baseball,
Right?
too.
It's like the ESPN book. Remember the ESPN book?
Yeah.
Did you read it?
The whole thing? No.
I did.
Jim Miller? You read that whole book?
Yes, because you start a book, you got to read the book.
No, wait. So, how long is that? That was like 800?
It's like 800 pages. Yeah. Daunting. That's how I feel about this particular docuseries. That's a lot.
Well, listen, Beetle, if you read the 800-page ESPN book, to support your boy here, well, why don't you watch
Then he'll go and binge watch White Lotus, no problem.
Yeah.
And season 3 was not so great on White Lotus.
I was okay with this.
Is that more than
I was okay
9
with it.
episodes?
No.
It
8.
It was about 8 or 9.
There you go.
Somewhere
That's
in
your
there.
limit. There you go.
I'm
Eight's
finding
the key
out that
number.
8's the number. That's the limit.